I didn't notice the first crack until much later. Not because it wasn't there, but because I wasn't looking at the wall. I was too busy admiring the paint. It started on a Tuesday. Ordinary. Lifeless. She called me from the car, told me to grab milk on the way home. But her voice was too calm. Not tired. Not annoyed. Just too measured. Like someone trying to sound like themselves. Like someone trying to replicate a version of themselves they'd forgotten how to be. I hung up and sat in the driveway for 6 minutes before going inside. That house, we bought it together 6 years ago. It had a crooked mailbox and one dying tree in the yard we always promised to cut down but never did. She used to leave the porch light on for me. She didn't that night. That was the second thing. The third thing was the red envelope I found jammed between bills and grocery coupons on the kitchen counter. Not addressed. Just sitting there like a dare. My name wasn't on it. Neither was hers. I picked it up, half expecting a wedding invitation or one of those over-designed ads from jewelry stores that always show strangers laughing in black and white. But it wasn't an ad. It was a receipt. 2 glasses of Merlot, 1 seafood risotto, 1 filet mignon. A bottle of water sparkling. Table for 2. From a restaurant an hour away. A place we used to talk about going to. But never did because it's too expensive and what if it's overrated? I stared at that paper until the ink bled into the white. Date. Saturday. Time. 8:24 p.m. That was when she told me she was with her sister, watching some documentary about the ocean and ordering Thai food. I even remember texting her mid-evening, and she replied instantly, "Crazy whale stuff lol." I sat down. I didn't throw anything. I didn't shout. I didn't even move. The part that got me, what made my hands go cold, was that she didn't even try to hide it well. That meant one of 2 things. Either she was careless, or she wanted to be caught. When she came home that night, I didn't say a word about the receipt. I didn't ask how the whales were or if she liked her pad thai. I just watched her open the fridge, complain there was nothing in it, and pour herself a glass of almond milk like she always did before bed. And then she said something strange. "You seem quiet lately. Everything okay?" That was when I knew. Not from what she said, but from the way she said it. Like she was testing the waters. Like she was waiting to see if I'd pull the pin or play dead. I told her everything was fine, kissed the top of her head, and went to brush my teeth. But I didn't sleep. Instead, I waited. For something. Anything. She gave it to me 3 days later. I came home earlier than usual. An accident, really? My meeting got canceled. I didn't call her, didn't text. Just drove home. A little curious if she'd be in the middle of a show. Maybe painting her nails. She always did that on Thursdays. She said it made her feel like she was resetting the week. I opened the front door and heard music. Not hers. Something jazzy, sultry. Something with too much rhythm to be background noise. Her coat was on the hook, shoes at the door. I stepped inside. Quietly. Just listening. Not stalking. Not snooping. Just listening. She was upstairs. I took the steps slowly, every creak a countdown. Then I stopped at the top of the stairs, because I heard her voice. But not words. Just humming. Like she was happy. Not relaxed. Not content. Happy. And I saw the dress. Laid out on the bed. Still on its hanger. Black. Fitted. Not her size. Not a gift for someone else. Something she planned to wear. To impress. To be seen in. She wasn't in the room. I walked in anyway. Touched the fabric. Then I heard her in the bathroom. I moved back quickly, out of the doorway, heart pounding not because I thought I'd be caught, but because I didn't recognize the version of myself that was now tiptoeing in his own home. She opened the door a few seconds later and stepped out. She hadn't seen me. She walked toward the mirror, holding a lipstick, a deep shade of red, almost wine-colored. Not the sort she used to wear. She smiled at herself. A smile I hadn't seen in months. Then she held the dress up to her body, as if measuring it against her reflection. She pulled away once more. This time I let her go. I didn't speak. I didn't blink. I just stood there in the hallway like a stranger who'd broken into someone else's life. She didn't notice me. She didn't look. She walked past the door, dress draped over her arm, humming again. And I realized then, she was preparing to become someone else. Not for me, for someone else. That was the night I decided to stop asking questions and start collecting answers. I didn't sleep that night either. I lay there beside her, in the same bed we bought together, listening to the soft exhale of her breath, trying to remember when it stopped being comforting. It sounded fake now, like a machine practicing intimacy. I didn't turn to look at her. I didn't touch her. She shifted in her sleep, mumbled something I couldn't catch, and I caught myself wondering, was she dreaming about him? Or worse, was she dreaming about me catching her and just didn't care? The next morning, she left early. Too early. Claimed she had a meeting across town, and that traffic would be a nightmare. She kissed my cheek, half-heartedly, the kind of kiss you give to your aunt at Thanksgiving. Then she disappeared down the stairs, out the door, into someone else's morning. I stood in the kitchen with a mug of coffee I didn't drink, staring at the space where she kept her keys. They were gone. So was the dress. Not in the closet. Not on the bed. Gone. I walked back upstairs and sat on the edge of the mattress, where the pillow still held a faint imprint of her head. My phone buzzed. It was from her. Hope today isn't too crazy for you. Don't forget your appointment at 2. She remembered my dentist appointment. Funny, right? She remembered the little things. Like someone trying to keep the checklist neat while burning the rest of the house down. I texted her back. Thanks. Good luck with your meeting. She didn't reply. That was fine. At 11:13 a.m., I left the house. I didn't go to the dentist. I drove to the other side of town, parked on a side street, and walked 2 blocks to a little cafe I knew had a perfect line of sight to the entrance of a boutique hotel. I ordered tea, sat by the window, and waited. I didn't even know why I picked that hotel. Just a hunch. One of those gut feelings you can't shake. At 12:02, she showed up, wearing the black dress, hair down, heels on. The way she used to look when we were dating, when she still used to glance at me like I was something she wanted. Now she wore that look like armor. I didn't recognize her walk. It was sharper, hungrier. She didn't check her phone once. She didn't look around. She just walked through the front doors like she belonged there. I didn't follow. I sat there, the tea going cold. My fingers clenched around the cup so tightly the heat left a red ring on my skin. I stared at the entrance until my eyes burned. 15 minutes passed, then 20, then 30. At 12:41, a man walked in. I knew him. I swear to you, I knew him. I just couldn't place the name right away. He looked like someone I'd shaken hands with once at a party or a fundraiser. Confident, polished, too tall, too easy with his smile. He didn't glance around either. Just strolled in like he had an appointment. Like he had her waiting for him in a room already dimmed, already warmed, already his. I sat there another hour. She never came out. At 2:03, I called the dentist and canceled. At 2:05, I left the cafe and walked past the hotel. My heart was thudding. Not fast, not wild, but slow and angry. I didn't go in. I didn't need to. There was no confrontation to be had in a lobby with marble floors and orchids that smell like lies. I just stood there for a moment, watching the reflection of myself in the tinted glass. And I thought, this is the version of me she thinks is still at the dentist. That night, she came home at 6:22 p.m., hair different, lipstick gone. She smiled as she walked in, said traffic was a nightmare and the meeting went long and some girl spilled a latte on her blouse. Said she needed a shower and disappeared upstairs. And I just watched her go. She pulled away once more. I didn't stop her. But now I knew. Tomorrow I'd start the next step. Not a confrontation. Not yet. First, I needed to know who he was. Then, I'd bring it all down that I wasn't going to confront her with half a puzzle. That's what people do when they want to blow up fast, cry in the kitchen, and then sleep on the couch wondering what just happened. No, I wanted the full picture. I wanted the raw, rotted truth laid bare. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed her. Not like in the movies. No trench coat. No sunglasses. I wasn't hiding in bushes or crawling under windows. I was calculated, clean, precise. I borrowed my coworker Derek's car. Told him mine was in the shop. He didn't ask questions. He owed me one from that HR mess last year. His car was a plain blue sedan, forgettable in all the right ways. The next Tuesday, she left the house at 7:48 a.m. I waited 10 minutes, then slipped into Derek's car and followed the route she always took to work. Except today, she didn't take it. She turned right at the light where she usually went straight. I followed. She turned again, into a neighborhood filled with clean lawns and overwatered roses. Not a business district. Not near her office. My stomach twisted, but I kept my distance. She pulled into a driveway like she'd done it 100 times. Garage opened. She drove in. The door closed behind her. The house was average. Beige. Too perfect. The kind of place you forget the second you stop looking at it. But she was in there, and I was outside, gripping the steering wheel of a borrowed car, watching my wife disappear into someone else's home like she was the other woman in her own marriage. I waited for 2 hours. Nobody left. Nobody arrived. Curtains didn't move. Nothing. I was about to leave when I saw him. The man from the hotel. He pulled up in a black Lexus, casual as anything, whistling some song I didn't recognize. He walked up the front steps, punched in a code at the door like he'd done it 1,000 times, and vanished inside. No knock. No hesitation. Just a man walking into a house that already had my wife in it. I snapped a photo from the dashboard. License plate. His face. The house number. It was enough. I drove off before I did something reckless. Parked a few blocks away and sat there trying to remember how to breathe. I didn't cry. That surprised me. I thought I would. But I just felt empty. Like someone had scooped out everything soft in me and left behind dry echoes. When I got home, she was already there. In the kitchen. Hair damp. Dressed in leggings and an old hoodie like she'd just come from yoga. She smiled. Asked if I wanted stir-fry or burgers for dinner. I stared at her. She tilted her head. What? I wanted to scream. Instead, I asked, "Did you go into work today?" She nodded too quickly. Of course. Why? I shrugged. Just wondering. She turned back to the fridge and muttered something about the chicken being frozen. I took another picture that night of her, smiling on the couch, watching TV, legs tucked under her, like nothing was wrong. I was building a folder. Names, times, photos, lies. But what I didn't expect was what I found next. The next day, I ran the license plate. A buddy from high school works in security. He owes me $2. Texted back in 15 minutes. The car was registered to Michael Reeves. That name hit me like a slap. He wasn't a stranger. He was my boss. Not direct, but high up. Vice President of Operations. He'd been at the last company dinner. Had shaken my hand. Had laughed at my jokes. Had told me my promotion was overdue. Now he was sleeping with my wife. In a house neither of them owned. I checked. Rental. Under a fake name. Paid in cash. Month to month. A ghost house for an affair so routine, they probably didn't even have to text each other anymore. I sat with that name for an hour. Michael Reeves. Said it out loud just to feel the shape of it in my mouth. The man had power, influence, control. But not over me. Not anymore. That night I printed every photo, every receipt, every timestamp. I laid them out on the dining table like a detective in some noir film. She came in halfway through. Paused in the doorway. What's all this? I looked up. Where were you today? She blinked. What? Don't lie. Silence. Then she laughed. Are you being serious right now? Yes. She stepped forward. You're acting crazy. I pointed at a photo. This is you. At his house. Her face didn't change. Not like I thought it would. No guilt. No shock. Just annoyance. So you're spying on me now? That's your response? She crossed her arms. You went through all this effort? Really? What are you, 12? I stood. Who is he to you? She smiled. But it was the kind of smile people give before they break something. Better than you. I didn't flinch. I think that made her angrier. She grabbed a photo and held it up. You think this matters? You think printing pictures makes you some kind of hero? No, I said. It just makes me ready. She threw the photo back down, turned, and left the room. No apology. No begging. No denial. Just a door slamming behind her. And the sound of everything we built cracking at the center. The silence after that night had weight. Heavy. Absolute. She didn't try to speak to me the next morning. No apology slipped under the door. No weak excuses over cereal or forced smiles on her way to the car. She moved like a tenant waiting for her lease to end. Not a wife. Not a partner. Just someone biding time. I didn't speak either. But I acted. First, I went to HR. No accusations. Just questions. Asked if there were policies about interoffice relationships, especially between executives and employees who could potentially benefit from favoritism. They said there were. I asked for them in writing. They sent them. I saved them. Next, I called a lawyer. Not a divorce lawyer yet, just someone smart, sharp. A woman named Kara who sounded like she ate situations like mine for breakfast. I told her what I had. She asked if I was sure I wanted to go down this road. I said I didn't want to. I had to. She asked for evidence. I delivered. Photos, dates, proof. She didn't gasp or sigh, just said, "Good, get more." So I did. I started recording conversations. Nothing illegal. Just in the house. Just the two of us. Because Kara warned me. She's not going to go quietly. And she was right. 2 days later, Amanda, or whatever version of her I'd been living with, changed tactics. She came home smiling. Full smile. Like Christmas morning smile. Like nothing had happened. She brought dinner, our favorite takeout. She lit candles. Wore perfume. I didn't touch the food. She poured wine. Sat across from me. "I've been thinking," she said. "We should take a trip. Just you and me. Unplug. Go somewhere quiet." I stared at her. The scent of jasmine and deception thick in the air. "Why now?" I asked. She shrugged. "We've been tense. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's us. I don't want to lose what we have." That line. What we have. As if what we have wasn't already hollowed out and filled with someone else's fingerprints. I didn't answer. Just took a sip of wine and watched her try to pretend. She leaned in, touched my hand. Her fingers were soft. Her nails painted red. But they didn't feel like hers. They felt like a stranger's. "I miss you," she said. She didn't. What she missed was control. Comfort. The narrative. She missed being untouchable. Later that night, she crawled into bed beside me, sighing like someone relieved to return to a warm, familiar place. She didn't speak. Just lay there in the dark, fingers lightly brushing my arm. I let her. I didn't move, because part of me wanted to know just how far she'd go to keep the lie pretty. By Friday, I had the next piece. The house, the beige, bland one they used for their secret life. I went there again. This time I waited longer. At 11:07 a.m., they both came out. Together, laughing. Not the loud, reckless kind of laugh. The quiet one. The kind you only use when you feel safe. Intimate. He kissed her hand before she got into her car. She didn't pull away. That night I printed new photos. Put them in an envelope. Wrote one line on the front in ink she'd recognize. "You pulled away once more. This time, I let you go." I left it on her pillow. I didn't sleep. At 3:14 a.m., I heard her open it. No gasp. No footsteps. Just the slow sound of paper being unfolded. Read. Swallowed. She didn't knock on my door. She didn't speak to me at breakfast. But when she walked past me on the way out, she was wearing a dress I'd never seen before. One meant for someone else. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't need to. The game had changed. She just didn't realize yet. I had the last move. There's a certain kind of calm that comes when everything burns down. Not peace. Not relief. Just the clarity of knowing there's nothing left to save. That weekend, she didn't come home. No calls. No texts. No staged lies about errands or friends or being just too tired to talk. She disappeared completely. Like she'd been waiting for the right excuse to vanish and now had it wrapped in photographs and written in my handwriting. I didn't chase her. I stayed in the house. Our house. Alone but not lonely. I sat in the living room with the windows open, listening to the wind creak the branches of the dying tree we always said we'd cut down. That tree was honest. It never pretended to bloom. By Sunday, I had a name for what I felt. Freedom. But freedom needs direction. So I made one last stop. I went to Michael Reeves' office. Unannounced. No warning. Just walked in on Monday morning with a folder in my hand and a storm in my chest. His assistant blinked at me like I'd shown up naked. "He's in a meeting. He'll want to make time." She must have seen something in my face. She buzzed him. 2 minutes later, I was sitting across from him, watching his eyes flick from me to the folder like it might bite. "Everything all right?" he asked, smiling like he didn't already know. I opened the folder, laid it flat. Pages of photos, dates, printouts of company policy. a copy of his rental agreement, a timeline that painted him into a very specific corner. His smile slipped. "You should go," he said softly. "No," I replied. "You should." He picked up the photo on top, the one of him kissing her hand. "What's your angle?" "I don't have one. I'm not suing you. I'm not blackmailing you. But this is going to HR. And if you don't resign quietly, if you try to spin this, if you even breathe wrong, then I go public. With names." He leaned back, that slick exterior cracking just a little. "You think anyone will care? Affairs happen every day." I leaned in. "Yes, but not every day with the married wife of your employee. Not when she's linked to a project she shouldn't be on. Not when the emails show favoritism. Not when the wrong people start asking questions." Silence. Then he exhaled slowly. "What do you want?" "I want you gone. And I want her out of my life. That's between you and her." "No," I said. "She made it between all three of us. Now I'm making it right." I stood, closed the folder. "You have 2 days." He didn't speak. Didn't need to. He knew I'd already won. That night, Amanda came back. Not like a ghost. Not like someone slinking in with regret. No. She walked in like she still had ownership. Keys jingling, heels clicking, a paper bag of groceries in hand. She even smiled at me, like we were just picking up where we left off. I didn't move from the couch. "Where have you been?" I asked, voice steady. She shrugged. "Needed space." "Did he give you that?" Her smile faded. "What are you doing?" "Watching you lie. It's fascinating." She dropped the bag on the counter a little too hard. "You can't just sit there judging me like I'm the villain. You are the villain. I made mistakes." "No. You made decisions. Over and over. And now you're shocked the world finally turned its back." She crossed her arms. "What do you want? An apology?" "I want honesty. But we both know you don't have it in you." She took a breath, like she was going to argue, then stopped. And that silence? It was the first truth she'd given me in months. I stood, walked past her, paused at the door. "There's an envelope in the drawer by the sink. Inside are the papers. I'm not dragging this out. You don't want to be here. I don't want to live in a lie. We end it now or it gets messy." She didn't open the drawer. She didn't even move. But I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't expecting me to walk away with my dignity. She thought I'd beg, scream, spiral. But I didn't, because she pulled away once more. And this time I didn't just let her go. I pushed. The envelope stayed in that drawer for 3 days. She didn't touch it. Not out of hope. I saw that die in her eyes the moment I turned my back. No. She left it there like a trap. Like she thought I'd lose patience and rip it open myself. That I'd come crawling back with regret thick in my throat, asking if maybe we could just talk. I didn't. She moved like a ghost in the house. We barely crossed paths, and when we did, it was all surface. No fights. No shouting. Just 2 people occupying the same air, both pretending the other didn't reek of betrayal. She cooked once. Left the food on the counter without a word. I didn't touch it. The next morning, it was gone. Wednesday night, everything cracked again. I came home from work later than usual. Met with Kara. Finalized a few things. Gathered more rope for the noose Amanda had been slowly wrapping around herself without realizing it. I unlocked the front door and felt it before I saw it. Tension. Not the kind that waits to be released. The kind that's ready to detonate. She was sitting on the couch. No makeup. Glass of wine untouched. That red lipstick was gone, and so was the person who used to wear it like armor. Her hands were in her lap. Still. Deliberate. "You told him to leave." I didn't bother playing dumb. "Yes." She nodded once. "He offered me a job. Somewhere else. Out of state. And I said I'd think about it." I leaned on the doorway. "You're not staying here." She looked up at me then. Really looked, and for a moment I saw the Amanda I married. The one before all this. Before the whispers, the perfume, the late nights that were never just late nights. But that Amanda was already dead. Whatever flicker I thought I saw in her, it was nostalgia. Mine, not hers. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she said. "No," I agreed. "You were supposed to get away with it." She winced at that. "I didn't plan it. It wasn't like that." I laughed once, sharp. "Don't insult us both. You planned the lies. You planned the dress. You planned your exit. You just didn't expect the ground to disappear under your feet. I was unhappy. Then you should have left. I didn't want to hurt you. She said it without irony, as if that made any of it better, as if avoiding honesty was mercy. You burned the house down, I said quietly. You don't get points for not lighting the match to my face. She stood up, hands shaking. I loved you. No, I said. You loved how I made you feel when you still needed me. And when I stopped being your audience, you found someone else to clap for you. She didn't deny it, didn't even try, just stared at me, lips parted like she was waiting for a cue, something to say, a line that would spin this whole scene into something softer. But there wasn't one. I'll sign the papers, she said finally. I nodded. Good. I'll pack tomorrow. No, you'll pack tonight. Her eyes flared, offended maybe, as if I owed her more time, as if this wasn't already a kindness. You can stay at his place, I added, or the hotel, or whatever corner you two carved out for your fantasy. But this house isn't yours anymore. That part of your life, it's over. She hesitated. Then she walked upstairs. No yelling, no pleading, just silence and the soft sound of drawers opening, zippers closing, a closet being stripped of everything but memory. She left at 12:07 a.m., didn't slam the door, didn't look back. I sat on the steps afterward, watching the porch light flicker. We always said we'd fix that too. Another promise shelved until it became permanent. Like so many others, I thought I'd cry, but all I felt was clean. Like I'd finally opened a window in a room that had been suffocating me for years. The storm was still coming, but for the first time I wasn't afraid of it. She was gone. Not in the metaphorical, emotional, poetic sense. Physically gone. The drawers were empty, her toothbrush gone. The scent of her perfume still clung faintly to the upstairs hallway, but even that was beginning to fade. And yet, her absence filled the house louder than her presence ever did. But Amanda was never the kind of storm to pass without leaving debris behind. The next morning I got the email. Subject: unprofessional conduct claim. From HR. They'd received an anonymous tip alleging I had been harassing a senior executive with personal threats and potentially fabricated evidence stemming from a personal vendetta. The email was formal, sterile, but beneath every word, I could feel her fingerprints. Or his, maybe both. I didn't panic. I sent one reply. I have documentation proving the personal relationship between Amanda Redacted and Michael Reeves, along with evidence of company policy violations. Let me know when you'd like to review it in person. Copied Kara. Within 3 hours, HR had gone silent. By the end of the day, I received a second email. This time from Reeves himself. 2 sentences. This has gotten out of hand. Let's talk. Discreetly. I didn't respond. He had his chance. Amanda had hers. What they didn't seem to grasp was that they weren't in control anymore. The narrative belonged to me now, and I wasn't rewriting it into a tragedy. I was publishing the truth. That night, I poured a glass of whiskey and pulled out my phone. Not to text her. Not to call. I opened social media. Scrolled. Her account was still public. Always had been. She liked the attention too much to hide. I found her newest post, a photo of a beach. No location tagged. No caption. Just the sun setting behind some water, framed perfectly, with a wine glass perched next to a bare knee. The comments were full of fire emojis and compliments. I looked closer at the reflection in her glass. It wasn't just her knee. It was someone else's hand. Holding hers. Michael. She couldn't help herself. She wanted to be seen. Let the world think she was reborn. I screenshot it. Added it to the folder. And then, against every instinct I had left, I sent her a message. 5 words. You really never learn, do you? She saw it immediately, typing. Then it stopped. No reply, of course. Instead, at 1:36 a.m., my doorbell rang. I didn't move at first. Then it rang again, and again, then pounding. I opened the door. There she was, hair wild, face flushed. No suitcase, just fury. You think you're better than me now? I didn't flinch. I've always been better than this version of you. She stepped inside without waiting for permission. Walked into the living room like she still owned it. You're trying to ruin my life. You already did that yourself. She laughed, bitter and hard. You know what your problem is? You loved the idea of me. Not me. No, I said. I loved you when there was something to love. You're the one who killed that person. Her voice cracked. You were boring. You were broken. She shoved a vase. It didn't fall. She wanted it to. Wanted something dramatic to cling to. I stood still, watching, calculating. You have nothing left to blackmail us with, she said. The job's gone. The story's over. No, I said quietly. The story's just beginning. Then I showed her the last card I had, the draft of the formal complaint, signed by Kara, already prepared for legal submission. Not just about her affair. About the manipulation, the retaliation, the attempted character smear. All of it. She went pale. You wouldn't. I didn't speak. That silence told her everything she needed to know. She stepped back like she'd been slapped. You're not who I thought you were. No, I said. I'm who you taught me to be. She didn't slam the door this time when she left. She closed it. Soft, careful, like the sound might wake something sleeping. But everything worth waking was already gone. The next few days felt like walking through the aftershock of an earthquake. Nothing moved, but everything was changed. Amanda stopped contacting me. Not a message, not a call, not even a petty comment through mutual friends. It was like she realized I'd finally stopped playing, and with no more strings to pull, she simply slipped off stage. I waited for the next play. There's always one more move with people like her. Silence is never surrender. It's just the breath they take before the next deception. And I didn't have to wait long. Came in the form of a voicemail. A woman's voice, shaky, unfamiliar. Hi, I don't know if I should be calling you, but I'm Michael's wife. I found your number through the office contact sheet. I think we need to talk. That was the moment everything shifted. Michael had wife, and she didn't know. I called her back the next morning. She answered on the first ring. Is this? Yes, I said. It is. Her name was Claire. They'd been married 12 years. 2 kids. 1 dog. A beach house in Maine and a mortgage on a home that now smelled like someone else's perfume. She hadn't suspected anything until recently. He was always careful. Or maybe she just stopped looking closely, like I had once. I didn't give her details. I didn't need to. She already had the same hollow tone I once did, when all the pieces have fallen but the picture's still unfinished. She asked one question. Do you have proof? I said yes. I asked her one in return. Do you want it? Silence. Then, not yet, but soon. We hung up without goodbyes. And that's when I realized the damage Amanda and Michael left behind wasn't just personal. It was systemic, strategic. They didn't just lie to the people who loved them. They rewrote the truth so often. They believed it themselves. But reality has a way of crawling back through the cracks. That weekend, I saw Amanda again. By accident. Or maybe not. She showed up at a friend's engagement party. A mutual friend. One we drifted from but never fully lost. I didn't expect her to be there. But there she was, standing by the drinks table, laughing a little too loudly, tossing her hair like a commercial actress trying to look spontaneous. Our eyes met. She froze. I nodded once. Just enough to say, I see you. I'm not afraid of you anymore. She walked toward me. Of course she did. Can we talk? She asked, quiet, like the ghosts of our marriage might be listening. I don't think we have anything left to say. She bit her lip, tried the vulnerable routine. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. But the words didn't sound real. They sounded rehearsed. Like she thought that one word, sorry, was a magic key that could unlock a door back to decency. You're not, I said. You're just out of moves. That hit. Her smile flickered. She glanced around to see who was watching. Then she leaned closer. You know, none of it had to happen like this. No, I said. You made sure of that. Then I walked away. And for the first time, she didn't follow. She just stood there, alone, holding a drink she didn't want, at a party she didn't belong to anymore, while the truth wrapped itself tighter around her like a noose made of silk. That night, I got a text from Claire. 2 words. Send it. And I did. Everything. The emails. The photos. The timeline. The red dress in the mirror. The beach glass reflection. The hand that wasn't hers. She replied 10 minutes later. You saved me a year of lies. Thank you. And just like that, the final ripple left Amanda's wake. She wasn't the storm anymore. She was the wreckage. Rebuilding doesn't come in grand gestures. It doesn't come with music or warm light or sudden clarity. It starts small, quiet, mundane even, like opening a drawer and not finding her keys anymore, like taking her name off the mailbox, like laughing at something dumb and realizing I didn't feel guilty for being okay. But healing doesn't come clean. There was one more turn left in the story. I got the email on a Thursday, just before lunch. No subject line, just a PDF attachment and one sentence in the body. You should know the whole truth. It was from Claire. I opened the file. It was a transcript, emails between Amanda and Michael. Dozens, maybe hundreds. I didn't even have to scroll far before I hit something that made my stomach twist. They weren't just mocking me. They were plotting me. How to discredit me at work if I found out. What phrases to use in case I got emotional. Amanda writing, he'll spiral. Just let him. He's too soft to actually do anything. Michael replying, let him drown in his own dignity. I read every word. They talked about my routines, my habits, how predictable I was, how easy I was to manipulate, how Amanda could turn anything into my fault because I'd apologize first. And then one line hit me like a fist. He still thinks I'm just conflicted. Let him. It's easier to lie when someone keeps hoping. I stared at that for a long time. Not because it hurt, because it didn't. Not anymore. I had already grieved the person I thought she was. I had already buried the marriage and burned the eulogy. This wasn't heartbreak. It was confirmation. The final seal on everything I had started to suspect but hadn't dared admit. Not even to myself. That I was never in a marriage. I was in a performance. A stage where love was just a costume change and truth was whatever looked best in dim light. I didn't respond to Claire. I didn't need to. She knew what she was doing when she sent it. And I respected her for it. She wanted me to know that I wasn't crazy. That the gut feeling I ignored for too long wasn't paranoia. It was the warning bell I silenced out of loyalty to someone who never deserved it. That night I packed the last box. Amanda still hadn't signed the divorce papers. Not officially. She hadn't contested them either. Just ignored them. Like she thought if she waited long enough, they'd expire, or I'd change my mind. So I filed without her signature. Let the court decide. I changed the locks the same day. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was erasing something. I felt like I was finishing it. I walked through the empty house that night, touched the walls, the banister, the window where she used to water her plants. Nothing was hers anymore, not even the shadows. And as I stepped out into the night air, keys in hand, door locked behind me, I saw her, across the street, in a car, just sitting there, watching. She didn't move when I looked at her, didn't wave, didn't blink. She just stared, like she was waiting for something, maybe a reaction, maybe closure, maybe a reason. But she got none of those. I turned and walked away. She pulled away once more. And this time, there was nothing left of me to follow. That I never saw her again after that night. No texts, no phone calls, no cryptic emails or late-night apologies typed and deleted before hitting send. Nothing. As if the universe itself agreed we were done. Not the kind of done that leaves a door open or a thread dangling, but the kind that feels like a final page sealed inside a book you'll never open again. I heard from mutual friends that she moved out of state. With him at first, then alone. Word was he didn't handle the fallout well. His resignation was quiet but humiliating. His marriage dissolved fast. Claire took the kids, the house, the calm. Amanda took what was left. I kept the house for a while longer. Not out of sentiment, just strategy. I renovated, painted over the colors she picked, replaced the furniture we bought together, sold the old bed frame to a stranger who had no idea what had happened on it, what kind of decay it held. I let it all go piece by piece. One evening, I opened a box I hadn't touched since the first week she left. Inside was the red envelope, the one that started it all. The dinner receipt, couple of printed photos, the dress tag I'd found in the trash, artifacts from the collapse. I didn't throw them out. I burned them, in the backyard, quietly, without drama. The flame took them gently, as if even the fire knew the pain had already passed. Smoke curled into the night, carrying pieces of our story somewhere unreachable. And as I watched the last corner of the envelope curl in on itself, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Like, not happiness, not victory, but weightlessness. Because the truth was, I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad. I wasn't broken. I wasn't healing. I was free. People always talk about closure like it's something someone gives you. A conversation, an apology, a final confrontation. But they're wrong. Closure isn't a gift. It's a decision. And I made mine the moment I chose to stop explaining her cruelty to myself like it made sense. She was who she was. And I finally understood the most important thing. That her betrayal wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was a reflection of her limits. She needed more than I ever wanted to become. And instead of asking, she took. She lied. She rewrote the truth to fit the story where she got to be the victim, the lover, the misunderstood woman wrapped in romance and secrecy. But she underestimated me. She thought I'd break. Instead, I rebuilt. Stronger, smarter, sharper. To the next person who walks into my life, I won't carry this story like a wound. I'll carry it like a sword. Not to cut, but to protect. Because I know now that the warning signs matter. That silence speaks. That trust isn't blind. It's earned. And if anyone out there reading this is in the beginning of what I survived, pay attention to the small things, the shifts in tone, the dress that doesn't belong, the hand that pulls away and never returns. Because when she pulled away the first time, I blamed myself. The second time, I hesitated. The third time, I let her go. And when she came back wearing a dress meant for someone else, I didn't ask why. I just walked away. And this time, I never looked back.